So let us look at inventory management, inventory control rather. So what is inventory control? We're not talking about inventory control in layman's term. We might just say that it is management of inventory. So this is what the concept of inventory management or inventory control is all about, right? We are saying we don't want to have too much inventory. We don't want to have too less inventory, right? We just want to have enough inventory in our stores to meet the requirements of the business at any time, right? We don't want too much because it has some uh, its disadvantage of keeping too much inventory, and we don't want too less inventory. We just want the perfect amount so that our operations are continuing, right? So we'll see what are the disadvantages of actually keeping too much inventory and what are the disadvantages of keeping too less inventory. So let us look at what are the consideration of the level of inventory to be stocked. What can actually affect the level of inventory that we are storing in our stores, right? So these are the factors that affect the level of inventory we store as a business. So the first thing is the availability of working capital for the procurement of the inventory. Do you have enough money to actually procure whatever you want to procure? Like all that inventory you want to procure. Do you have the working capital or do you have the money to buy that inventory? Right? The money will determine how much level of inventory you keep in your stores, the storage space available. Do you have enough storage space to keep whatever inventory you want to keep? That's the question. You can have enough money in the world to buy too much inventory, but do you have a place to store it? The other thing we have to consider is what is the cost of storage? Yeah, you have the money to buy the inventory. You are saying that maybe I'll rent out a warehouse, but have you considered the cost of storage? Right? We don't want running a business is mean we have to make sure that we minimize our cost and take advantages of all the revenue. And that's the biggest objective of running a profitable business. So we want to look at what are the cost of storage. We also look at the risk of loss due to fall in prices, deterioration, obsolescence, and preference. So we'll be considering if we store this inventory, are we not running a risk of loss, right? When people steal this inventory, if we store it, when the inventory deteriorate in our warehouse when you store it, won't it get obsolete? Those are the questions we need to ask ourselves. What is the economic order quantity? We'll talk about this in detail, so I won't explain it. And we'll talk. We're looking at the delivery time. So we're saying how much can we store, because this will also depend on the delivery time. When I'm talking about the delivery time, is the time between the time I order for more inventory and the time they actually deliver the inventory. So is if I'm looking at a longer delivery time, for example, a month, that means I need to store much inventory, because I'm saying that if I'm to keep less inventory, then my inventory is coming to an end. I order, I might need to wait a month, so I need to have enough inventory to cover me in a month. But if the delivery time is 2 days, I really don't have to keep much inventory, because in 2 days I might be supplied. So I might just have to keep inventory that is gonna sustain me for 2 days. So those are the considerations we have to make. So what why the need for management material control? Why do we need to uh, manage our material? So we are talking about, we might let us talk about this in a perspective of what are the disadvantages of having too much level of inventory and what are the disadvantages of having low inventory, because this will explain why we actually need what we actually need to manage our inventory. So the thing is, if we keep too much inventory, what are the disadvantages? The first disadvantage is may cause cash flow problems because the money is tied up in inventory. Because we have used all up our money to buy too much inventory, it will cause some cash problems in our business. Because now our money has been tied up in our inventory. We do have finances, but all the finances is inside our inventory. So this might cause cash flow problems. The other thing is cost relating to storage of the inventory. We might also suffer some costs that are related to storage, because if we solve too much inventory, we might have the need to actually rent out a warehouse, a bigger warehouse. Because of this, there are costs that are related to storage of this inventory. The other thing is the risk of damage, theft, and deterioration. When we keep this inventory, we are running a risk of theft, damage, and deterioration. Right? If we choose not to keep the inventory, this risk could be eliminated. So these are the disadvantages of keeping too much inventory. So let us look at the other end. What is the disadvantage of keeping too little inventory? We choose to keep too little inventory. The first is disruption of operations. Our operations might be disrupted. That means if our inventory ends, we'll have to wait for the other replenishment of inventory into our stores. So this will disrupt the operations of the company. So the disruption of the inventory will cause customers and customer goodwill. We might lose customers and customer goodwill. We're saying that we might have an unexpected order because we don't have enough inventory in our stock, right? It means we can lose that customer. If we lose that customer, goodwill will go, right? They won't trust us anymore. They would rather go to somebody who has the things readily available. So this is another disadvantage of keeping too little inventory. The other thing is high cost so as to get the favorable terms, so orders should be done faster than normal lead time. So what we're saying is we run out of inventory. So we are trying to negotiate with a supplier to actually compromise, right? So that we can have favorable terms. If his delivery time was 10 days, we're asking him, please, can you not just give us today? Please, just cut us in line. So the guy is telling us, for us to do that, right, you have to pay more. So because of that, right, it is a disadvantage. We will pay more than we actually had to pay for, because we are asking for favorable terms than what the supplier is or is ordinary do for us. So you have to have an incentive for him to actually give you that favor. So those are the disadvantages of having low inventory. So now I can come to the conclusion. Why the need for material cost? Then the conclusion, after looking at the perspective of why it's disadvantage to have too much inventory and to have too less inventory, now I can conclude that the efficiency of material control reduces the loss and forms of waste that others tend to pass unnoticed. So when we effectively control our inventory, we will reduce loss, right? And any other forms of waste that may arise. And sometimes we might not notice, right? So if we actually manage our inventory effectively, this is what will happen. Then hence, the effective material control can make a variable contribution to the success. So if we are able to actually manage our inventory very effectively, very efficiently, this should contribute to the success of a company. So let us look at important requirements of a satisfactory system of material control. So what are the requirements that should be there for a satisfactory material control to exist? The first thing is proper coordination. Is there any good communication between you and your supplier? That's the coordination that we are talking about. There need to be good coordination. Whenever our inventory is going wrong, we have to communicate with the supplier. So that coordination will enhance a good material control. Competent purchase agents. We want people in the procurement department to be competent, right? When we need the material should be available. They should have those bargaining skills because we still want to buy our materials at the lowest. We want our materials to be at the right quantity and at the right quality. So use of standard forms, right? That's another thing. So whenever you're ordering, you want to use standard forms. Control by budgeting materials and equipment. You're talking about storage location. Do you have enough storage location? Operations of perpetual inventory. We talked about perpetual inventory, right? Like a system where you're actually updating every time there's a receipt or there's an issue. So that's operation of perpetual. You need to operate a perpetual inventory system. Standard or level to be fixed. Storage control and issues. Internal checks. Development of control accounts and subsidiary controls and regular reports. All these requirements have to be satisfied for you to have a satisfactory system of material control. So let us talk about a reorder system. So right now we're talking about types of systems or material control systems. Right? Let us talk about types of material system. So the first one is the reorder level system. The reorder level system. So let us talk about this diagram first before we talk about the reorder level system. So we have this diagram right here. So on this side, I have the level of inventory. On this side, I have the lead time. So when I'm talking about the lead time, I'm just talking about the time it takes for a delivery to be made when you order. If you order today, how long will it take for them to deliver? Is it a week, 2 weeks? So that's the lead time. The time it takes for an order to be delivered when you make an order. So we have this. So we're talking about the maximum level. We'll talk about the maximum level, right? We'll talk about the reorder level. We'll talk about the minimum level, right? So we can see that there's those dots indicating the maximum level, and this is the minimum level. So we're talking about, we have just an overview. Maximum level will mean that that's the level of inventory it should not pass, right? In other words, so whenever you're ordering, it should not pass. So your inventory will start to go low. That's because you are using it, right? At this point, you are supposed to make the next order. Because it will take them this amount of time to them to deliver, the lead time. So the moment the lead time is going, right? The moment they are delivering, it will reach the minimum level. This is the level which you should never allow your inventory to fall below. Right? That means they will replenish the order, they will deliver the order. You have your inventory again. Same applies. It go like that. But have you seen this time around? It has gone below the minimum level. Right? This is called safety or buffer inventory. Right? If it was my mom teaching, he would refer this to pangozi kangani glasi, right? Pangozi kangani glasi, right? Meaning that it's emergency stock, right? You don't want to touch this until it is emergency, right? Until it's emergency, you are not gonna touch this stock. So instead, in case the guys go above their lead time. They delay waste because they say this time of the COVID, suppliers might not satisfy their requirements on time. So they have went longer than their lead time. You still have right stock to continue because you actually prepared for that. Because failing to prepare is preparing to fail. So you need to have this what safety or buffer inventory. So if somebody asks you what is buffer inventory, we are saying this is the emergency inventory. That's all. It's the emergency inventory. So let us talk about the order level or the order point. So in general, if they was telling you about the reorder level system, you'll be talking about that it's a system where you're actually coming up with exact time to make the orders so that your operations are never disrupted. So if it was to mention, what can you explain the reorder level, right? Reorder level. So the reorder level system, we might just say that first thing we know that is the system of material control. So it's a system of material control that actually identifies the right time to order. That's the order level. The right time to order, the minimum level, and maximum level to be ordered at one time. So that's basically right. You're taking that is a system for material control that actually identifies the right time to make an order. That's the first thing. It will also tell you the minimum level of inventory for you to keep, and it will also tell you the maximum level of inventory for you to keep. So let us talk about reorder level or reorder point. These are terms that are there. We looked at this here, reorder level. So what is this reorder level, right? So this is the level of material at which a new order for replenishment of material is to be ordered. In another way, you're saying this is the level of material where you need to make another order. So at what level of material should I make another order? When I'm remaining with 2 bags, when I'm remaining with 3 bags, so that's the order level. What is the time when the wife have to tell the husband that I'm running out of, for example, flour, right? Flour. When is the right time? Do you have to make it when? Do you have to tell the husband when actually the flour is over? That would be outrageous. So when that level, when you're giving your husband lead time to actually look for money to buy that, that's the same thing. So you're actually giving the supplier lead time, right, to actually deliver, because he will not definitely supply them at the moment you order them. So you're saying that it's the level of inventory when another order is supposed to be made. So the level is fixed somewhere between the maximum or minimum. So even if we looked at the graph, right? Have you seen that the level when we are ordering is actually between the maximum and the minimum right here, right? So you don't make an order when it's at the maximum, no, at the minimum, no. You make it somewhere in between. So we have the formula for reorder point. So the formula is maximum daily or weekly or monthly usage times maximum lead time, right? Times maximum lead time. This is when you have, for example, in situation where the lead time is a range, for example, is 2 to 3 weeks. So you take the maximum, which is the 3 weeks, right? Maximum, or is the maximum daily usage times maximum lead time times safety. So whenever you have margin of safety, right, safety inventory, right, you have to add it. Here, whenever you don't have the safety level, you don't have to add it. But where they've given you the safety level, you have to incorporate it in your formula. So let's try to attempt a question here. We have two examples here. The first one is saying that the minimum daily requirement is 800 units. The time required to receive images supply is 4 days. Average daily requirement is 700. Minimum daily is 600. And time required for refresh supply is 1 month. So this is the lead time, right? This is the lead time. So we have seen the formula saying that the child is saying that maximum daily usage. So let us go look at the maximum daily usage. So they have only given us emergency, average daily usage, and minimum requirement. Here it's supposed to be maximum because there's minimum already here. This is maximum. So the formula is saying maximum daily usage, which is 800, to find the reorder point. Maximum daily usage, which is 800, times the maximum lead time. Because our lead time is just 30 days, it's not a range, we'll just take 30. So times 30, right? So when you multiply that, that's 24. That means the level has to be 24,000 units. So that's how you calculate for that one. So we have found that the level should be 24,000 units. That's when you should actually make your order. 24,000 units. When you are remaining with 24,000 units, you should make your order. That's the first example. The second one is two types of materials are used as follows. So the minimum is 20 units per week, maximum is 40, and normal is 60. They made a mistake, right? Normal or average is supposed to be on the middle. So this one was supposed to be normal, and this one should be maximum, right? So then we have two materials, right? A and B. This one, the lead time is 3 to 5 weeks. This one, the lead time is 2 to 4 weeks. So we have seen that the formula says that maximum daily usage, which is 60 units, times maximum lead time. In this case, material A, the reorder point should be 60 times 5 weeks. That's the maximum. While B, right, B is supposed to be 60 times 4 weeks. So in this case, B has to be 240 units. When you have 240 units remaining, you need to make your order. And this one, you have to have 300 units. When you have 300 units, make your order. So this is what the reorder point is all about. When should you, at what level of inventory should you make another order? So that's to do with reorder. So let us look at minimum level. We talked about minimum level or minimum limit. So when you talk about minimum level or minimum limit, this is the level of inventory below which the inventory should never be allowed to fall. So you should never allow the inventory to fall below that level. You should never allow. That's the level, right? The minimum. You should never allow the inventory to fall below that level unless it's the emergency, right? But you should never allow, as much as possible, never allow your inventory to fall to that level. So what's the formula? You use the reorder level or the reorder point. We have just finished talking about the reorder level and reorder point. We will use that one. Reorder level or reorder point minus average usage times average lead time. Or the order level or the order point minus average usage for normal period. So that's the formula. So we have that formula. So what is our reorder level? We need to find our reorder level first, right? Remember, reorder level is the maximum daily usage or weekly usage. Let me see, maximum usage times maximum lead time. So let us find our reorder level or reorder point. So our reorder level in this case will be 130 units per day times 30. That's the maximum. So that's what we're going to say. 130 as the maximum times 30, right? So it will be 3,900 units. This is our reorder level, right? So we have found our reorder point. So we can say minimum level, right? Let us now find our minimum level. So minimum level is saying our reorder point, which is 9,000, right? 9,000 units, 3,900 units, right? Multiply by the average usage. What is the average usage, right? Average usage is basically the normal usage, or we can say maximum plus minimum divided by 2. That's the average usage. So 130 plus 70 is 100. Is 200. Divided by 2, that's 100. So you can actually use normal usage, or you can do the average. So in this case, 100, right? 100 will be minus 100 times average lead time. They're saying times 100 average lead time. So our lead time is 25 and 30. So the average should be 25 times 30, which is 55, divided by 2, which is 27.5. So that's the average lead time. So we're going to say times average lead time, 27.5. So if you multiply, you should find 39 minus 2,750, right? So if you subtract, you should find 1,150. So this is our minimum level. Minimum level is the level of inventory below which we should never allow it to go, right? That's the definition. Is the level of inventory below which inventory should never be allowed to go or to fall. So that's how you calculate it. We're saying reorder point or reorder level. How do you find reorder level? Maximum daily usage or monthly usage or weekly usage times maximum lead time. We have found the reorder point minus the average, right? The average usage times average lead time. So that's how we're supposed to do. I'm saying the average usage is also called the normal usage. Or for us to actually find the average usage, we can say maximum plus minimum divided by 2. All those methods will give you the average usage. So let us talk about the maximum level or minimum level. So the maximum level is the level of inventory that must not exceed without specific authority from management. So you should never allow your level of inventory to exceed that without the authority of management. If management does authorize that level to exceed, it's okay. But otherwise, the level should never exceed that level without any prior authorization by a top management. So that's what maximum level. So for us to create maximum level, we also have to use reorder level, right? Or reorder point minus minimum usage times minimum reorder period plus economic order quantity. So it's a longer formula, right? So they're saying reorder point. Let us first find our reorder point. Reorder point, how do we find it? Maximum daily usage or monthly usage is 130. Maximum lead time 30. So we found that the reorder point is 3,100 if you multiply. So we have our reorder point. So we're saying minus minimum usage. What's the minimum usage? 70, right? Times minimum reorder period. What's the minimum? In this case, the minimum reorder is 25 plus economic order quantity. They just give us 5,000. Have you seen? That's how you're supposed to do it. Reorder point is maximum daily usage times maximum lead time. So we're saying minus minimum usage times minimum reorder level, which is minimum reorder level is the same. Minimum reorder period is the same as lead time, right? So you are taking about 25. So we're going to start with multiplication because that's BODMAS, right? BODMAS, we start with multiplication. So that's what we're going to do. So for us to find this, we're going to say 70 times 25, which should give us 1.750. 1.750. Right? So we have 1.750 minus 3,100 plus 5,000. Right? So if we subtract here, we should find 150. No, 1.150 let me use my calculator. So I'm saying that 3,000 minus 1.750 plus 5,000, the answer is giving me is 7,150. So we're saying reorder level, which is 3,100, minus the minimum usage, which is 70, times the minimum lead period, which is 25, right? Which is 25, plus economic order quantity, which is 5,000 units. So the answer is 7,150. So this is the maximum level. So we will stop here. We'll continue looking at the other material control systems. We'll look at periodic review and so on.